In the twisted tale of the demise of Mr. Dawes, we begin with the blackmail. Mary, a woman of high society and wife to billionaire Joseph Redford, found herself in a precarious situation. Unbeknownst to her, her secret affair with her husband's brother was not so secret after all. Mr. Dawes, a man who was no stranger to the underbelly of the affluent, had captured her indiscretions in photographs. The price of her secret staying hidden? A staggering $25 million. Mary, desperate to keep her world from shattering, paid the exorbitant sum. But Mr. Dawes, ever the opportunist, saw a chance to milk his golden goose once more. He demanded an additional $25 million, doubling down on his initial blackmail. But this time, Mary refused. She couldn't, or perhaps wouldn't, pay the second time. And so, the bombshell dropped. Mr. Dawes, true to his word, showed her husband the damning photographs. The reaction from Mr. Redford was swift and brutal. He filed for divorce, and in a fit of rage, he brought her affair to light in the most public and humiliating way possible. He even went as far as telling their children, shattering the illusion of their perfect family. Mary's world, once filled with glamour and opulence, crumbled around her. The fallout was catastrophic. Mr. Redford, in a fit of rage and betrayal, took the life of his own brother. The man Mary had risked everything for was gone, and she was left with nothing but shame and regret. When the pictures came to light, Mary's world crumbled. Her husband's rage led to a family tragedy. The stage was set for a series of events that would eventually lead to the demise of Mr. Dawes. But as we'll find out, Mary was only one piece in the intricate puzzle of Mr. Dawes' murder. From a heartbroken woman, we shift our gaze to a betrayed friend. Enter John, Mr. Dawes' former business partner. Together, they had visions of revolutionizing the tech industry. Their dreams were big, their ambitions even bigger. They started a company, a promising venture that was set to change the tech landscape forever. But somewhere along the line, the partnership soured. Mr. Dawes, with his cunning mind and ruthless tactics, cheated John out of his rightful share. He manipulated contracts, twisted words, and left John with nothing but the title of a co-founder. The company they had built together, the dreams they had shared, were now solely in the hands of Mr. Dawes. John was left with nothing. The betrayal didn't stop there. Not only did Mr. Dawes rob John of his company and dreams, but he also forced him into bankruptcy. John, who once stood shoulder to shoulder with Mr. Dawes, now found himself penniless, his reputation in tatters. Then came the final blow, one that was perhaps the most personal and devastating of all. John's wife, unable to cope with the financial and emotional turmoil, filed for divorce. The man who had it all was now left with nothing. Adding insult to injury, Mr. Dawes, the man who had taken everything from him, fired John from the very company he had helped create. The humiliation was unbearable. John was reduced to a former shell of himself, a man broken and betrayed, his dreams shattered, his life in ruins, all at the hands of the man he once called a friend. With his life in ruins, John had lost everything to the man he once called a friend. The bitterness, the anger, the desire for revenge consumed John, but the question remains, did this betrayal lead John to commit the ultimate act of retaliation? From a scorned friend, we delve into the life of an accused thief. Now let's illuminate the tale of Chris, a man of brilliant intellect and a knack for innovation. He was the mind behind an invention that could have etched his name in the annals of industry tycoons. His brainchild had the potential to catapult him into the realm of billionaires. But alas, his dreams were cut short. Chris's invention, a beacon of hope, was like a golden goose that could lay an unending stream of golden eggs. But the flight of his ambitious project was clipped. Enter Mr. Dawes, a man known for his ruthless business tactics and insatiable greed. The plot thickened when Mr. Dawes, ever the opportunist, caught wind of Chris's groundbreaking invention. The scent of potential billions wafted into his boardroom, and he decided to claim it as his own. In a swift and cunning move, Mr. Dawes accused Chris of the unthinkable, stealing company patents, the same patents that included Chris's revolutionary invention. The tables turned quickly. The man who dreamt of changing the world was now standing in the dock, accused of theft. The courtroom echoed with Mr. Dawes' false allegations while Chris stood aghast, watching his dreams shatter into a million pieces. The gavel fell, and Chris was sentenced to time behind bars. The dream of becoming a billionaire was replaced by cold, hard steel bars and the unforgiving walls of a prison cell. His invention, his brainchild, was now in the clutches of the man who had accused him wrongly. As Chris sat in his prison cell, he could only watch as Mr. Dawes basked in the glory of his stolen invention. The same man who had, with a single accusation, snuffed out the dreams of an innovator and left him to rot in a cell. The same man who had already ruined the lives of Mary and John. In the shadow of a stolen dream, Chris sat in a prison cell, his future robbed by the same man who had ruined the lives of Mary and John. Now, we come to the heart of the matter, the murder of Mr. Dawes. The night was as dark as the deeds that were about to unfold. Amid the heavy silence, a figure lurked in the shadows, waiting for the perfect moment. The hitman, a professional in his grim trade, was hired by none other than John, the man betrayed by his own business partner Mr. Dawes. The hitman had been tracking Mr. Dawes' movements for weeks. He knew his routines like the back of his hand. The night he struck, Mr. Dawes had been at a lavish party, unaware that it would be his last. After the party, Mr. Dawes returned home, a palatial mansion that was more a fortress than a residence. But even fortresses fall, and so did Mr. Dawes. The initial investigations were a whirlwind of confusion. The authorities were looking into a myriad of possibilities, but the clues were scattered and the leads cold. The billionaire's murder had shaken the city, and the pressure was mounting to solve the case. For 12 long months the case remained a puzzle. Then a breakthrough came. A witness came forth and was able to identify the hitman who shot and killed Mr. Dawes. The hitman also gave the detectives the name of John who hired him. John was arrested and, faced with the overwhelming evidence, confessed to his crime. He had hired the hitman to exact his revenge on Mr. Dawes. The motive was clear, the evidence was irrefutable, and the mystery of Mr. Dawes' murder was finally solved. John, once a friend and partner, was revealed as the architect of Mr. Dawes' demise. In the end, the story of Mr. Dawes is a tale of deceit, betrayal, and vengeance. A tale as old as time itself, where the lust for power and wealth led to a tragic end. The story of Mr. Dawes, Mary, Chris, and John is one that will be remembered for the sheer complexity of human emotions it showcased. Mary, the woman entangled in a web of deceit, lost everything she held dear. Once a part of the high society, she was now a pariah, a woman scorned and shamed. Her life became a constant reminder of the price she paid for her secrets. Chris, the inventor, had his dreams shattered when he was accused of stealing patents. His time in jail was a stark contrast to the life of riches he had envisioned for himself. The accusation by Mr. Dawes not only stole his freedom, but also his will to dream big. But the most significant fallout of Mr. Dawes' actions was witnessed in the life of John. John, once a successful businessman and Mr. Dawes' best friend, was pushed to the brink of despair. Losing his share in the company they started together, facing bankruptcy, and then getting fired by the very friend he trusted, John's life was a series of unfortunate events. His desperate act of hiring a hitman to take out Mr. Dawes was his final attempt to reclaim his dignity. John's conviction and life sentence marked the end of the sordid saga. The man who once had everything now spends his days behind bars, a stark reminder of the cost of vengeance. In the twisted tale of power and greed, justice ultimately prevailed, but at what cost? The lives of Mary, Chris, and John were forever marred by the actions of one man, Mr. Dawes. Their journeys serve as a cautionary tale, a tale that warns us of the dangers of unchecked ambition and the destructive force of greed.